Beardo Benjo.
Hello there everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another new VR games roundup video. Today we're looking at July 2023 and I have to be honest with you, it's not the best month in recent memory. Typically, July through August is a little bit quieter for new VR games, and then everything, the big hitters, the ones we're all waiting for, the Assassin's Creeds, the Ghostbusters, the Asgard's Wraths 2s, they're all coming out kind of October through December. They tend to top load the big VR releases into the back end of the year, so we might be in for a few quiet months. Maybe it's worth revisiting the games in your library you haven't completed, or taking up a new hobby like knitting. Either way, there are still some big games coming out this month that I think look pretty damn cool, and let's get straight into seeing them right now. These are all the new VR games that we know of launching in July 2023. Kicking things off on the 4th of July is probably the biggest new VR game of the month. Synapse, launching exclusively for PlayStation VR 2. Now, I went hands-on with this a couple of weeks ago and I absolutely loved my short time with it. The mixture of telekinesis, eye-tracked controls, gunplay, cover mechanics, and a gorgeous black and white aesthetic really made this game feel like something special. It also employs roguelike elements, and you know, I love a good roguelike. It comes from End Dreams, David Hayter's in it, voicing a character that sounds, frankly, a lot like Solid Snake. It's a winning formula for a great new VR game, and the reviews are out there now, and people seem to be exceptionally happy with this one. However, I will bring one thing up. It does seem to be a little on the short side. A few people have reported that 3 hours to 3.5 hours is the runtime, which is a bit of a shame after Fract. I was hoping for a slightly longer experience. End Dreams know how to make an amazing VR game, but they do tend to be on the shorter side. Hopefully though, Synapse has a lot of reason for replayability. I've seen that VR Oasis played it 3 times to get the platinum, so probably around 6 or 7, maybe 8 hours if you really want to get everything done. Synapse launching on the 4th of July. Okay, get comfortable because the next 5 VR games are all releasing on the 13th of July. They've packed everything into this one day. Now, this next game is a game I never played the original of. This is Operation Wolf Returns First Mission VR. Now, the reason I didn't play the original is because it released in 1987, and that was the year I was born. I was basically just a fetus, so couldn't actually play video games at that point. However, the original does look like a classic arcade light gun shooter, akin to things like Time Crisis or Point Blank. Now, this new version has been built from the ground up for modern VR headsets, but it still seems to retain the original's gameplay loop. It looks to be an on-the-rails light gun arcade shooter with a pretty cool looking aesthetic. It does look very cartoony, it does look very stylized, and I really like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with an on-the-rails shooter. I actually think we should have more classic light gun experiences ported into VR, things like House of the Dead and Time Crisis, so I'm always up for playing one of these, but they can be a little bit hit and miss. Take a look at the most recent Transformers VR game if you'd like an example. However, if you are into your light gun shooters and like things like Zombieland, Headshot Fever, then check this one out on the 13th of July. Also on the 13th of July, Battle Bows is launching for Quest and PC VR platforms. Now, this is a classic tower defense experience. You plonk yourself on the literal tower of a castle and you have to use your archery skills to defend against balloons. Evil balloons, that's right, balloons with scary faces are coming to take your castle down. Personally, I don't think balloons could destroy a castle unless the balloons were filled with like napalm or something. If they're filled with air or helium, not a threat. Just absolutely not a threat. Either way, I like archery in VR. I've always loved archery in VR. This game seems to have a range of different arrows and arrow attachments that you can use. So there's ice, there's lightning, etc, etc, and I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I'll be checking this one out soon. I always love a bit of VR archery. Also releasing on the 13th of July, I'm going to say that for each of these, is the sequel to one of my favourite little indie VR games of the past few years, Yupitergrad 2. Now, this is actually already out on PICO devices. PICO managed to get the exclusive on this, so it's been out for a few weeks, but the game is coming to Quest and PC on the 13th of July. Now, if you've never played the original, I would urge you to go and check it out. It's a fantastic puzzle exploration game. Now, in that original, you needed to make your way around a huge space station using these suction cup gauntlets on your hands. Now, a lot of games get compared to Spider-Man in VR. Anything with swinging gets compared to Spider-Man, but Yupitergrad has some of the best swinging mechanics in VR, if not the best swinging mechanics in VR. It really does make you feel like Spider-Man. Now, the sequel seems to employ a lot more action. It's not just puzzles and exploration. You're now shooting robots, defeating enemies, and it's taking it to a completely different level. Yupitergrad 2 out on the 13th of July. Also on the 13th of July is another VR game that's trying to capitalize on the success and gameplay mechanics of Rocket League. This is Spaceball. Now, much like Ultra Mechs, which did a very similar thing, except in that game you were shooting your fists off of your mech to hit the ball and knock it into your opponent's goal, this game has clearly looked at Rocket League, seen that it is a very popular and enjoyable gameplay system and tried to convert it into VR. However, in this game, you're using gorilla tag style movement mechanics to maneuver yourself around the arena and ultimately knock the ball into the opponent's goal. Now, my only worry with this one is it's a multiplayer only VR title and they do struggle to grow and they struggle to sustain. It's hard to keep an audience of players playing when VR is such a small niche and people tend to move on quite quickly. VR games aren't particularly sticky. There's not a lot of them that hold people there for a long time, so I do worry about this one, especially considering that Ultra Mechs was fantastic and I don't know what the player base for that is currently like. Spaceball out on the 13th of July. Look, I'm gonna level with you. I can't tell you anything about this game. I haven't played any of the Dyschronia Chronos Alternate games, and this is episode 3. This is the final episode, so I can't come in here at the finale and try to act like I know what's going on in these games. I think it's about crime. I think you're some kind of crime-fighting, murder mystery solving detective, but there's also like whales, big digital whales falling from the sky, and lots of kind of cutesy anime characters. It looks pretty cool. I should probably play these games. The final episode of Dyschronia Chronos Alternate, episode 3, is also out on the 13th of July. If you've been playing along with the series, or if you've been waiting for the whole series to be complete, the whole story to be complete before jumping in, now is the time. This one's out for Quest and PSVR 2, so if you're a fan of cutesy anime characters, crime solving, murder mysteries, and a crazy futuristic digital style world, then come and check this one out. Dyschronia Chronos Alternate episode 3 out on the 13th of July. Also on the 13th of July, I'm just kidding, this one's out on the 17th of July. Now, if you've played Thief Simulator VR, you might want to keep your eyes peeled and check this one out. This is called the Breakin. Now, it's only available for PCVR, but basically it's the concept of Thief Simulator VR, except you can play it with a friend. You can go into a house and rob the people who live there of all their worldly possessions with your best mate, and then you need to try and escape the house with as many jewels and expensive TVs and game consoles and record players as you can physically hold and get your hands on. The concept is really cool. I like stuff like this. It's got that kind of voxel art style, and there are characters within the house, I believe, that can come and find you and police that can hunt you down. So you need to be stealthy, you need to watch your step, and yet you need to escape safely with your friends back to the van and get the hell out of there. The Breakin is launching on the 17th of July for PCVR. You'll find this over on Steam. Up next on the 19th of July, this one isn't strictly a new VR game, but it is a fantastic VR game making its way to a new platform. T for God is launching on Steam. Now, this game might not look like much. If you haven't seen this game already, you might be looking at this trailer thinking it looks very simplistic, but trust me when I say this is one of the best VR experiences you can have. It's an action FPS, but it's also a room scale VR experience. This doesn't have any stick-based teleportation. You can't move yourself around using your controllers. You have to physically move yourself around in the play space. If you've played something like Eye of the Temple, then you know what that's like, but this one is a shooter. Seriously, check it out. T for God. Very cool. I swear that VR Skater for PlayStation VR 2 has appeared on at least 3, of my new VR games coming soon videos. This one hasn't been delayed, has it? Or not publicly anyway. I thought this was supposed to be out on the 21st of June, but it's actually coming out on the 21st of July. Maybe I'm just dyslexic and I'm just learning that right now. That's a revelation that I didn't want to have on a Saturday morning. Oh well, that's a thing. So VR Skater is coming out on the 21st of July for PSVR2, and honestly, it's fantastic. When you learn this game, when the mechanics click, when you've really gelled with it, it feels like nothing else in VR. The speed, the fluid lines and combos that you can string together, it's absolutely stunning. And even if you're not a fan of skating, I urge you to check this one out. If you've been looking for a reason to get the band back together and jump back into Among Us VR, then this month, Shell Games are giving you a very good reason. A brand new map, Polus Point, is coming to the game on the 27th of July. Now, I absolutely love the VR version of Among Us. This is probably the VR multiplayer game that I have the most hours in. I played this just constantly after it launched, and I'm so glad that we finally have a new map to explore, new mini games to go hands-on with, and a new reason to jump back into the carnage. New Among Us VR map, 27th of July. Okay, we're into full-blown speculation territory now. These next two games do not have official release dates, but they're both heavily rumoured to be releasing soon or this month. The first one is Hunt Together. Now, there's not a lot of information out there about this game, but it does seem to be a 1v1 PvP ghost hunting game. It might be more than just 1v1, but there's certainly a 1v1 mode wherein one player plays as a ghost hunter and the other player plays as the ghost. Now, it's unknown at this stage what kind of tools or abilities you have at your disposal, what kind of things you've got in your arsenal to take down the other player, or really what the goal is. The information is quite light on the ground, and this trailer doesn't give much away. There's not a huge amount of gameplay in here, but I love me some ghost hunting. I love me some Phasmophobia, and I like competitive games if they're done correctly. Hunt Together, possibly releasing quite soon for VR headsets. Okay, on to the final game. Now, this is another speculative one. I think U-Boat, the Silent Wolf, is going to be launching fairly soon. Now, the reason I think that is because this one just turned up in the coming soon section of the Quest store, and unless it's a massive hitter, unless it's a Ghostbusters or an Assassin's Creed or an Asgard's Wrath, games don't tend to spend too long in the coming soon section. They appear there, and then within a month, maybe a tiny bit more, they release, they come out. So hopefully we'll be playing this one very soon. Now, this is a cooperative game that you play with your friends, whereby you need to man all the different aspects of a U-boat. So steering it around, getting to battle stations when people start firing on you, or just hanging out playing some darts when things are a little bit calmer. Love the concept, especially as a co-op game. And yeah, I hope this one is really, really popular. I hope I can find a team of people to run my very own U-boat. And that's it. There are no more VR games. Not ever, just for July. Now, bear in mind, as always, these are only the games that we currently know about. These ones have confirmed release dates or are heavily rumoured to be releasing this month. There may still be some surprises, but it is definitely a quieter month. Not as many big hitters as we've had in the previous few months of this year. But strap in, I think it's going to be like that for a couple of months. I think things will start to pick up possibly again in September, October time. But I could be wrong. Hope you enjoyed, guys. If you have, please leave a like, leave a comment, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you soon for another one. Take care, guys.